speech, and I've never seen a series of one lie following another lie like that in my professional career, and that's why I've called it a crime against humanity.
Can he be stopped from doing this, do you think?
He can't be stopped from doing this. He's the President of the United States. If he doesn't want to fund a fifth of WHO's budget, then he can stop doing that. But what I think needs to be made very clear is that he has committed an act of violence against people around the world. We have 215 countries, regions and territories that have been affected by this pandemic. People are dying worldwide. We're in the middle of this. It hasn't even hit Africa properly yet. And what you need in a situation like that is a strong international coordinating body that can bring all of the evidence together to help countries decide what to do. And if you defund WHO to the tune of a fifth of its budget in the middle of a pandemic, you are putting the world in grave danger. Why would he do this? It is the most inexplicable decision.
What do you make of what he says about the WHO being biased towards China more generally? I mean, you know, we know he's bananas in many ways, and we know he's often just off beam and self-seeking. I mean, it just seems pretty demonstrably true when you see him in action. But is there anything about the WHO's approach to this that you would question, that you would criticise?
Well, I've spoken to WHO officials in China. I've spoken to WHO people in Geneva. And I think there is a very serious misunderstanding about what's taken place here. So very briefly, the first cases of this disease that we now call COVID-19 were identified in early December in Wuhan. That outbreak was managed locally by the provincial officials, and they did not tell Beijing what was going on. And I think there was a degree of hiding the outbreak in those early stages. But eventually, the news got through to Beijing, and Beijing immediately told WHO on December the 31st. And after that, the WHO in Geneva and the Chinese government worked incredibly hard to sequence the virus, to understand the nature of what this outbreak was, to understand its risk, and then to write up papers to tell the world, some of which we published in mid-late January. And then on January the 30th, a public health emergency of international concern was declared. So within a month, the world went from knowing nothing to declaring a public health emergency of international concern. That's not a cover-up. That's an incredibly effective international response, and WHO and China working together were responsible for that.
I mean, we'll come back to Donald Trump's performance on this in a moment, but do you believe China's numbers on this, their numbers on infections and death rates?
No, I don't. I don't believe their numbers. I think their numbers are well underreported. I think if you look at the size of the country, 1.3 billion people, you look at the extent of the distribution of infection.
I think have we lost your line, Richard, or are you still there? I think we've lost Richard's line, which is a shame, and we get the sense of how he is responding to that move by Donald Trump to withdraw the funding from the World Health Organization. 15% of the World Health Organization's funding came from the United States in the 2018-19 budget, more than $400 million. Bill Gates, you might know already, but for those of you who don't, has said that stopping funding for the World Health Organization during a world health crisis is as dangerous as it sounds. Their work is slowing the spread of COVID-19, and if that work is stopped, no other organization can replace them. The world needs the WHO now more than ever, he said. Thank you, Richard, if you're still listening. Sorry we lost your line. Richard Horton of The Lancet. Jasmine Birtles is still with us, here to take your calls on your financial situation as an employer, employee, or a business owner. Jasmine, you wanted to refer back to something our previous caller Leslie was asking about before the break. What was that?
Yes, Leslie did mention that she has been putting tax returns in for a few years, and it did occur to me that actually, really, it's over. If she's put in 3 lots of the last 3 years, she's put in tax returns. They tend to take 50% of the overall for that 3 years. So if more than 50% of her income for 3 years has been from freelance income, then she should be getting some money in June. So I don't think she needs to be too worried at this stage. I mean, I was thinking again about just the last year, but I think she will qualify for some money in June. She just has to cope until then. That's the hard part.
And just let me read this text from an anonymous London insurance broker on the question of whether insurers will pay out on disruption policies, business disruption policies. This individual says, regarding insurance for business, unless you have a very specific insurance, there is no cover. If the government put pressure on insurers to pay all claims, all insurers would go bust overnight. They simply don't have the resources to pay all of these claims. Consequences of insurers going bust is huge for everyone. When he says, unless you have specific insurance, if your insurance says business interruption or business disruption, including natural disasters. I mean, this is a natural disaster, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if you've seen, there's been reports that Wimbledon, the Wimbledon Tennis Club, actually has specific pandemic insurance. So if you have pandemic insurance, and it actually says this covers you for a pandemic, then yes, I think you are. But natural disasters, contagion generally, no. And to give you an example, what Wimbledon has been paying each year for this very special pandemic insurance is £1.5 million every year. They've been doing that for 17 years. And this is the issue. The ABI, the Association...
That's a lot of strawberries and cream. That's a lot of strawberries and cream, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gamble. I mean, insurance, like so many things, is a gamble. You pay your money and you take your choice, really. And the ABI, the Association of British Insurers, said that if they were, and your text is quite right, if they were to cover pandemics, the price of business interruption insurance would be way beyond anything that normal people could cope with, normal businesses could manage. And you would be talking for hotels, you would probably be talking a few $100,000 a year for your insurance, just for that part of the insurance. So that's why they say they can't cover. They do things like Legionnaire's disease, that sort of thing, rather than a pandemic.
It'd be interesting to hear from a business other than Wimbledon that did have pandemic insurance, but if it's at that scale, my goodness, how many would, I wonder. Stuart in Northampton, what's your question to Jasmine?
Hi there, thanks for taking my call, I appreciate it. So I like many small businesses, and I seem to have fallen through a lot of different cracks in the system. So to give you a brief overview, I have a swimming business. So I actually lease property from the council. I have an endless pool. So I coach triathletes and swimmers and do video analysis and that kind of thing. So I'm exactly the